The explosion that tore through the command center ceiling caught the Void Stalkers completely off guard. Master Chief Nam and his team dropped through the hole like angels of death, their weapons firing in perfect coordination that carved through the 9-foot predators before they could react. Hostages secured. Nam reported as his team formed a protective circle around the civilians. Princess Zaralyn, despite being royalty, was helping take care of wounded miners, like someone who had military training, but saving the people was only half the job. Commander Taemin knew that every Void Stalker in the station would now rush toward them. The creatures might have lost their ability to talk to each other, but they still had more fighters and knew the station better. "Sir, we have movement on all levels." Petty Officer Yujin reported from her watch position. Estimate 40+ hostiles coming toward the command center. This was the moment that made humans different from every other species in the galaxy, where others might have called for immediate escape, possibly losing hostages in the confusion. The SEALs did something that went against all military logic. They attacked Teams Alpha and Bravo, set up kill zones in Corridors 7 and 12. Taemin ordered Team Charlie prepare fighting withdrawal to escape point. "We are taking everyone home." What followed was a running battle through the station corridors that would be studied in military schools across the galaxy for generations. The SEALs did not just fight their way out. They turned the station itself into a weapon against the Void Stalkers. Senior Chief One Ho had discovered that the mining station's industrial equipment could be used as weapons. Ore processors became giant. Cannons' air recyclers became gas delivery systems, and the station's artificial gravity could be changed to create tactical advantages. Gravity mine deployed in Section 4. One Ho reported as a group of Void Stalkers found themselves suddenly experiencing 5 times normal gravity. The predators, who were built for speed and agility, became helpless targets for SEAL precision fire. Meanwhile, Petty Officer Sujin had turned the station's flooded sections into an underwater maze that only humans could navigate well. Void Stalkers that followed her team into the water found themselves fighting opponents who moved like fish and struck like sharks. The most important moment came when the main Void Stalker force tried to cut off the human retreat. At the primary escape point, Princess Zaralyn, who had been quietly watching the SEALs' tactics, made a suggestion that would change the battle. "The mining laser in Section 3, she said to Commander Taemin. "It's designed to crack asteroids. If you could target the station's structural supports." Taemin looked at the princess with new respect. "You want us to bring down part of the station, just enough to block their pursuit route?" She replied with a smile that reminded him why the Galactic Empire had survived for 3,000 years. "I have studied the blueprints. Section 7 will collapse, but the structural integrity of the evacuation route will hold." It was a desperate gamble, but humans had built their entire military philosophy around desperate gambles that somehow worked. Petty Officer First Class Minicio led a volunteer team to the mining laser, while the rest of the force began their escape. The plan worked perfectly. The controlled collapse of Section 7 trapped most of the Void Stalkers on the wrong side of the debris, while the SEALs and their rescued hostages made their way to the escape point. But the mission's most important moment came as they reached the docking bay. A single Void Stalker, larger and more scarred than the others, blocked their path to the rescue ship. This was clearly the pack leader, and it had no intention of letting its prey escape. The creature stood 12 feet tall and moved with the fluid grace of a born killer commander. Taemin stepped forward, knowing that this moment would define humanity's future relationship with the galaxy. The Void Stalker leader studied him, its alien intelligence recognizing something it had never encountered before, a predator that fought not for survival, but for others. The battle was brief, brutal, and decisive. When it ended, the Void Stalker leader lay dead, and Commander Taemin was helping the last civilian onto the rescue ship, all personnel accounted for. Master Chief Nam reported, "Mission complete, A's." The rescue ship pulled away from the mining station. Princess Zaralyn approached Commander Taemin. "In 3,000 years of galactic history," she said, "no species has ever attempted a zero-casualty rescue against Void Stalkers. How did you do?" Taemin looked out at the stars and smiled. "Your Highness, we have a motto: we leave no one behind. That is not just words for us, it is who we are." The return journey to the Galactic Empire's capital world took 3 weeks, but news of the impossible rescue had spread across the galaxy in hours. Ambassador Veltar spent most of the trip staring at the human seals with something approaching religious awe, while Princess Zarlin had requested detailed briefings on human military tactics and philosophy. "I still don't understand," the ambassador said to Admiral Na, so young during one of their daily conferences. The Void Stalkers were perfect predators. How did 30 humans accomplish what thousands of our best warriors could not? The Admiral looked at the tactical reports spread across the conference table. Each page told the story of human ingenuity triumphing over seemingly impossible odds. "Ambassador, I think you misunderstood what kind of predators you were dealing with. The Void Stalkers hunt for survival. Humans fight for each other." When the rescue fleet arrived at the imperial capital of Nexus Prime, they found a reception unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from hundreds of species had gathered to witness the return of the humans who had achieved the impossible. The docking bay was filled with military officers, diplomats, and journalists from across known space. Commander Tae Min and his team emerged from the ship to find themselves facing a sea of alien faces, all displaying the universal expression of amazement. The rescue had been broadcast live across the Galactic communication network, and billions of beings had watched humans do something that defied every military textbook in existence. Emperor Thaxton himself waited on the landing platform, his massive form towering over the assembled dignitaries. The ruler of 3,000 worlds had personally come to thank the beings who had saved his daughter's life. "Commander Kim," the Emperor's voice resonated through the translation systems. "The Galactic Empire owes humanity a debt that can never be fully repaid. You have not only saved lives today, you have changed how the galaxy views warfare itself." The formal ceremonies that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Emperor presented each seal with the Star of Valor, the highest military honor in galactic history. More importantly, humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Empire, along with territorial rights and access to advanced technology that would accelerate human development by thousands of years. But the most significant moment came during the private dinner between human leadership and the Imperial family. Princess Zarlin had spent weeks studying the SEAL mission recordings and had reached a conclusion that would reshape galactic military doctrine. "Father," she said to the Emperor, "we need to establish the Imperial Special Operations Academy, and we need humans to run it." The implications were staggering. For the first time in galactic history, one species would be training the elite forces of hundreds of others. The SEAL's tactics, philosophy, and commitment to leaving no one behind would become the standard for special operations across the galaxy. Master Chief Nam, who had been quietly observing the political discussions, spoke up with characteristic directness. "Your Majesty, with respect, we're not teachers. We're operators. If you want us to train your people, they're going to have to meet our standards." The Emperor's laugh shook the dining hall. "Master Chief, after what I witnessed at Kepler 442b, I suspect our standards will need to rise to meet yours." Over the following months, volunteers from across the galaxy traveled to the new training facility established on humanity's moon. The selection process was brutal, with a failure rate that shocked species accustomed to easier paths to military service. But those who succeeded emerged as something new, warriors who fought not just for victory, but for the protection of others. The first joint operation between human SEALs and Imperial Special Forces took place 6 months later, when pirates attacked a civilian convoy in the Outer Rim. The rescue was swift, efficient and bloodless for the hostages. The pirates, however, discovered that the galaxy had gained a new type of protector. As reports of successful missions accumulated, a new saying began to spread through the Imperial military. "When the impossible becomes necessary, call the humans." The Void Stalkers had unwittingly done something that 3,000 years of galactic civilization had not accomplished. They had given humanity a purpose that matched its potential. The species that had once been confined to a single star system now served as the protectors of hundreds of worlds. Senior Chief Wonho pressed his body against the air vent wall. A Void Stalker was walking below him. The creature was breathing slowly and making clicking sounds to see in the dark. These monsters had never met anyone who could fight back and win. That was about to change. The SEAL teams had spent the first hour doing something no other rescue team had tried. They were learning. Instead of running toward the prisoners right away, they studied the station. They watched how the Void Stalkers moved, and acted target found Petty Officer Sujin whispered into her radio team. Alpha was hiding in the flooded parts of the station where other rescue teams had drowned, but SEALs did not drown. They made water their friend. The first Void Stalker died. Without knowing what killed it, Sujin had swum up from below using the water to hide her movements. Her improved plasma gun fired in short bursts. The hot energy made the creature's armor crack and break. The kill was quiet, fast, and totally new to Void Stalker experience. For the first time in millions of years, they were being hunted. Confirmed kill, Alpha Team Sujin reported, moving to next position. Commander Taiman got the message while his team prepared to attack the main prisoner area. The information they had gathered in the past hour showed something important. The Void Stalkers had made the same mistake that had killed many human enemies throughout history. They had thought their opponents were weak all teams. Start Phase 2, Taiman ordered. What happened next was like watching the best soldiers in the galaxy work together. Team Bravo made chaos in the docking bay using homemade bombs and the station's own equipment to make the Void Stalkers think the main attack was coming from there. Meanwhile, Teams Alpha and Charlie moved through the station like invisible spirits, killing guards and learning where the prisoners were. Petty Officer Yu Jin had discovered something that changed everything. The Void Stalkers were talking to each other using sounds too low for most species to hear. But humans who had learned about sound from studying whales and dolphins could not only hear these sounds, but stop them, deploying sound scramblers. Chief Petty Officer Jin Ho said, as his team moved into position, enemy communications are down. For creatures that had used perfect teamwork for millions of years, the sudden communication blackout was terrible. Void Stalkers started making mistakes, breaking apart from their groups, and most importantly showing themselves to enemies who had learned to fight when they could not see or hear normally. The big change came when Master Chief Nam found exactly where the hostages were. The Emperor's daughter, Princess Zaralyn, was being held in the station's command center with all the other prisoners. The room was heavily guarded, but the Void Stalkers had made a big mistake. They had prepared to stop an attack from the main hallways. They never thought humans would attack through. The ceiling breaching charges set, Nam reported as his team got ready for the most dangerous part of the mission. Hostages are safe behind energy walls, but we have clear shots at the guards commander. Taiman looked at his watch. They had been on the station for 2 hours and had already done more than any other rescue team. But the hardest part was still coming. They had to get 47 prisoners out while fighting creatures that, despite their recent losses, still had 3 times as many fighters as the SEALs. All teams prepare for final attack. Taiman ordered, remember, we are not just saving lives today. We are showing the galaxy what humans can do. The Void Stalkers had controlled this star system for hundreds of years. They treated other species like animals to be hunted whenever they wanted. They were about to learn that the galaxy had a new top predator, one that did not hunt for food or land but for something much more dangerous. They fought for what was right. The explosion that blew through the ceiling caught every Void Stalker by surprise. They had never seen anything like it. The humans dropped down like avenging angels, their weapons firing in patterns that cut through the 9-foot monsters before they could move. The creatures that had never known fear were learning what it felt like. Commander Taemin Kim looked at the strange blue light coming from his computer screen. The alien standing in front of his desk was shaking. His purple skin was wet with something that looked like sweat. The creature had big yellow eyes that kept moving around the room like it was scared. The alien spoke through a metal box that made weird noises before words came out. My name is Ambassador Veltar. I have come from very far away to ask humans for help. Taimin leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. Captain Haijin Park and Lieutenant Commander Dongwoo Lee were also in the room. They looked at each other with confused faces. What kind of help? The human commander asked. The ambassador took a deep breath. The Void Stalkers have taken our mining station. They are holding the Emperor's daughter and 300 other people prisoner. We have tried to save them 47 times. Every time our warriors go there, they all die. Captain Park made a face that showed she was thinking hard. So why are you asking us humans? Because you are the last ones we have not asked yet. The alien looked down at the floor. We have no other choices left. Timin looked at his computer screen. The information showed pictures of the mining station. It was huge and looked like a metal city floating in space. Around it were pieces of broken spaceships and rocks that would smash anything that got too close. The pictures also showed the Void Stalkers. These creatures were very tall, almost 3 times as tall as humans. They had thick skin that looked like armor. Their eyes glowed red in the dark and they had long, sharp teeth. They looked like the worst monsters from scary movies. "How much will you pay us?" Lieutenant Commander Lee asked with a big smile. The ambassador stepped back when he saw the smile. "The Galactic Empire will give you full membership in our government. You will get our best technology and you can own 12 star systems." The room became very quiet. Then Tai Min started laughing. He laughed so hard that his whole body shook. The sound filled the room and made the alien jump. "Sir, I think we should call Admiral So Young," Captain Park said. She was trying not to laugh too. 6 hours later, Admiral Na So Young had done something amazing. Instead of sending 12 soldiers like other species had done, 200 Navy SEALs wanted to go on this dangerous mission. The alien ambassador could not believe his eyes. The selection process was hard. Only 30 SEALs were chosen. These were the best fighters that Earth had. They were getting their weapons and equipment ready. Master Chief Jin Ho Nam was checking his gun one more time. The aliens had given them information about the Void Stalkers, but the humans brought something new. They were creative and could think of new ways to solve problems. Most importantly, they actually wanted to do this impossible job. Ambassador Veltar watched the SEALs getting on their spaceship. He turned to Admiral So Young. "In 3,000 years, no species has ever wanted to do a mission where everyone dies." The Admiral smiled, her eyes showing the same look that made other species afraid of human soldiers. "Ambassador, you do not know humans very well. We have a saying, the only easy day was yesterday." She watched her soldiers disappear into their ship. "These Void Stalkers think they are the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. They are about to learn something new. Earth's oceans made humans into the best hunters, and now they were going to the stars." The spaceship engines started glowing blue. The ship lifted off the ground and shot into the dark sky toward the stars. The most dangerous rescue mission in galactic history was about to begin. Taman sat in the pilot seat, looking at the star map. The mining station was 3 days away. The Void Stalkers had never lost a fight in their entire history. They were perfect killers who could see in complete darkness and had armor skin that stopped most weapons, but they had never fought humans before. Humans were different from every other species in the galaxy. Other creatures fought to survive, or to get food or territory. Humans fought for each other. They would risk everything to save people. They did not even know the ship flew through hyperspace while the SEALs prepared for battle. They studied the mining station layout and planned their attack. Each man checked his equipment and weapons. They all knew this mission was probably impossible. But impossible missions were what SEALs did best. They had trained in every terrible place on Earth: frozen mountains, burning deserts, deep underwater, dark caves. They learned to fight when they could not see, hear, or breathe properly. Captain Park walked through the ship, checking on her team members. Everyone was calm and ready. They had that special look that came before a big fight. Their eyes were focused and their hands were steady. Master Chief Nam was teaching the younger SEALs about the station layout. "Look at these flooded sections," he said. "Other rescue teams died here because they could not swim well enough. But we are different. We grew up in the water." The ship computer made a soft beeping sound. 3 days until arrival, the electronic voice said. Taman looked out the window at the stars rushing past. The galaxy was about to see something it had never seen before. Humans doing the impossible just because it was the right thing to do. The Void Stalkers were waiting, but they had no idea what was coming for them. The spaceship Silent Thunder moved through space like a shadow. Chief Petty Officer Sujin Lee watched the computer screens while the team got ready for battle. The mining station was getting bigger in front of them. It was huge, like a metal city, but now it was controlled by monsters. Petty Officer Yu Jin was looking at heat pictures on her screen. "The Void Stalkers have put all the prisoners in the middle of the station," she said. "They are using them as human shields, just like we thought. Would Commander Taemin looked at the station map on his computer. Unlike other rescue teams that tried to attack from the front, the SEALs had a different plan. They would attack from many different directions using tricks they learned on Earth. Remember, these creatures can see in complete darkness and they can hear like bats, he told his team. But they have never fought people who learned to fight underwater, where you cannot see anything. The SEALs were perfect for this job. Years of fighting underwater had taught them to move using sound, touch, and feeling. The flooded parts of the station had killed other rescue teams, but SEALs could hold their breath for 4 minutes and fight in total darkness. Petty Officer First Class Mincio checked her weapons. One more time, the aliens had given them plasma guns, but humans had made them better. Human changes made the guns shoot faster, work better up close, and keep working even when damaged insertion teams ready. Senior Chief Wanho said into his radio, "The attack pods are loaded and ready to go." The plan was crazy even for SEALs Team Alpha would go through the station's garbage system. It was so dirty and disgusting that no other rescue team had ever thought of using it. Team Bravo would attack, the main entrance to make noise and confusion. Team Charlie, the smallest group, would crawl through the air vents that were too small for the 9-foot-tall Void Stalkers. The attack pods shot out from the main ship Commander Taemin thought about, what they knew about their enemies. Void Stalkers were perfect hunters. They were patient, deadly, and showed no mercy. They came from a planet where weak creatures got eaten, and only the strongest lived. But they had never met humans. Humans were different. They could turn any place into a weapon. The first fight happened 30 minutes after they got on the station team. Charlie found something the aliens had not told them about. The Void Stalkers were using the station's air system against rescue teams. They were filling sections with poison gas and cutting off air to trap their enemies. "These things are smarter than we thought," Petty Officer Eugene said over the radio. "They are not just holding prisoners. They are turning the whole station into a giant trap." Commander Taemin smiled as he crawled through the garbage tubes with his team following behind him in complete silence. The Void Stalkers might be perfect predators, but they were about to learn something new. There was a difference between hunting animals and fighting a war. Humans had spent thousands of years learning how to kill things that were bigger, stronger, and better armed than them. They did it by being smarter, faster, and more determined than their enemies. Team Alpha reached the first checkpoint without being seen. The garbage system was horrible, but SEALs had trained in every terrible place on Earth. Swamps with poisonous snakes, frozen mountains with no air, burning deserts with no water. This was just another day at work. Team Bravo started their attack at the main door. Explosions and laser fire lit up the docking bay. The Void Stalkers heard the noise and started moving toward the sound. They thought the main attack was coming from there. Team Charlie was crawling through the air vents above the station corridors. They could hear the Void Stalkers moving below them. The creatures made clicking sounds to talk to each other, but they had no idea that humans were listening. "We are in position." "Team," Charlie leader whispered into his radio, "target the communication center first. Cut off their ability to coordinate." The SEALs moved like ghosts through the station. Each team had practiced this mission hundreds of times. They knew exactly what to do. Team Alpha would secure the hostages. Team Bravo would create confusion. Team Charlie would take out the enemy command center. The real battle was starting. The Void Stalkers thought they were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. They had never lost a fight in their entire history, but they were about to meet humans, and humans fought differently than anything the galaxy had ever seen. 5 years after the Kepler 442b rescue commander Taemin Kim stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Space Station New Harmony, watching joint training exercises between human SEALs and special forces from 47 different species. The sight would have been impossible to imagine before humanity's entry into galactic civilization. The rescue mission that had started as a desperate gamble had evolved into something far greater, a revolution in how the galaxy approached the concept of military service. The human philosophy of no one left behind had spread like wildfire through Imperial forces, creating a new standard of excellence that prioritized mission success and casualty prevention in equal measure. "Remarkable," said Princess Zara Lin now, Admiral Zara Lin and Director of Imperial Special Operations. She had spent the past 5 years working alongside human instructors, learning not just tactics, but the fundamental mindset that made humans so effective in impossible situations. Exercise completion time 43 minutes, 0 civilian casualties, 0 friendly casualties. The joint task force that had just completed the hostage rescue simulation included members of species that had been fighting each other for centuries. Under human instruction, they had learned to work together with efficiency that amazed military observers across the galaxy. Master Chief Nam, now bearing the imperial rank of Senior Training Coordinator, approached the observation window. His weathered face showed satisfaction as he watched his students perform complex extraction maneuvers. "They are getting better," he admitted grudgingly. The Altarian team actually used improvised explosives correctly this time. The transformation had not been limited to military operations. The human approach to problem-solving had begun influencing every aspect of Imperial society. Diplomatic missions now included contingency planning that would have seemed paranoid before humans arrived. Scientific expeditions incorporated survival protocols that had saved countless lives in hostile environments. Even commercial ventures had adopted human-inspired safety standards that prioritized crew welfare over profit margins. The most significant change, however, was philosophical. The concept that advanced civilizations should protect those who could not protect themselves had become the Empire's new guiding principle. Humanitarian missions, once considered the province of individual charity, organizations were now a central function of Imperial Forces' status report on the Outer Rim situation. Admiral Zaralin asked Senior Chief Wanho, who had been promoted to Strategic Operations Coordinator. "The Kandarian refugees have been successfully evacuated," Wanho reported. Joint Task Force 7 extracted 40,000 civilians from the war zone. No casualties among rescue personnel or evacuees. The operation took 18 hours instead of the projected 3 days. Such reports had become routine, but they represented a fundamental shift in galactic military capability. Before human involvement, large-scale evacuations were considered impossible in combat zones. Now they were standard procedure executed with precision that had saved millions of lives across the galaxy. The economic implications were equally profound. The 12 star systems granted to humanity as payment for the original rescue had become a hub of innovation and production. Human engineering principles adapted, for galactic technology had created manufacturing processes that were more efficient, more sustainable, and more worker-friendly than anything previously achieved. Petty Officer Yu Jin, now Captain Yu Jin, and Head of Imperial Intelligence Analysis, arrived with the daily briefing. "Sir, we have confirmation that the Void Stalker territories have requested Imperial assistance. Apparently they are facing a threat they cannot handle alone." Commander Taemin smiled at the irony. The species that had once been considered the galaxy's most dangerous predators now sought help from the beings who had defeated them. "What kind of threat?" "Unknown hostile contact in the deep dark sector," Eugen replied. "Something that makes Void Stalkers run scared." The briefing room fell silent as the implications sank in. If creatures that had dominated their region of space for millennia were asking for help, the galaxy was facing something unprecedented. "Assemble Task Force 1, Admiral Zara Lin ordered. Full joint operations protocol. If there is something out there that scares Void Stalkers, we need our best people on it." As the senior staff dispersed to prepare for the new mission, Commander Taemin reflected on how much had changed since that first meeting with Ambassador Veltar. Humanity had not only found its place among the stars, but had helped reshape galactic civilization itself. The original SEAL motto had proven prophetic. The only easy day was yesterday. Each challenge had led to greater accomplishments. Each impossible mission had become the foundation for even more ambitious undertakings. Looking out at the stars, Taemin knew that humanity's greatest adventures still lay ahead. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of beings who needed protection. And thanks to a desperate alien ambassador and 30 volunteers who had signed up for the deadliest job in the galaxy, there were now guardians ready to answer that call. The age of human heroes had begun, and the stars themselves were no longer the limit.